Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of A Journey Back to Health. I'm going to try and do the impossible today and make a really quick 10 to 15 minute video, so here we go. Without further delay, let us go on. I'm going to take a look at my day 15 and day 21 workouts really fast. This was my fourth and fifth workout. There was some space between the two, and I'll explain a bit why in a second. Mostly it was me not being careful and not using proper form, not even during my workout, but punching the heavy bag, and I ended up injuring my wrist a little bit. So put some more space between those two workouts, which kind of hurt me a bit, but you'll see that I ended up with some pretty good results in the end. So, but again, my goal here is to get through this as fast as possible today and not make an hour long or even half-hour video. I've only got 10 minutes before I need to hop into a meeting here, so let's make this happen. If you want more information about all my workouts and everything that I'm doing here, you can check out my log. My workout log is in the description below. It's always on my videos and on my blog posts at the bottom under references. So if you want to know more information about this stuff, feel free to check it out at any point. So for the day 15, which is my fourth workout, I did standard stretches. That's all good. As far as my crunches go, now that I have proper form in mind, I switched back to having the 10 pounds behind my head, and the reps were significantly lower, but they were much more intense. So I decided to leave it at 10 pounds, and then as I'll discuss here in a moment, on my fifth workout, day 21, I was able to continue that same intensity and actually pump out a few more reps, but I'll get to that in a moment. So I'm not going to touch that. Big increase in reps that day, so my ab muscles are definitely getting stronger. As far as the push-ups go, still really tough on my knuckles. I did actually get some push-up handles recently, just the other day before I did my fifth workout, and that makes it a lot easier. It's much easier on the wrists to do the push-ups, but man, those push-ups are still really tough. On day four, my fourth workout or day 15. Geez, confusing. Day 15, the fourth workout, I was able to do 7, 4, and 2, which is still on the low side, but man, they're tough. I don't know if it's just me, but I have a really hard time with the push-ups. Pull-ups are always hard. My pull-ups are still around the same range, which is I noted on the next log that it's a little discouraging to not see those going up, but I'm giving myself the time needed to get that done. Do you guys like my hats, by the way? I like to wear a lot of hats. I have a lot of different hats in my collection, and this is one of them. I'm trying to wear a different hat for every video, so hope you guys enjoy my style. Um, let's see what else. After the pull-ups, which are always insanely tough, I did the Arnold curls again. Arnold curls are really tough, but man, they work out the arms. 60 pounds is still perfect. Had a little bit of some pain in my arms and bones after I did that set, but it's probably because I'm just pushing too hard, and I'll get to that as well here in a moment if I have time. Laterals are still in a good range. I scaled back up on those to 10 pounds on each arm because 10 pounds was just not enough, or 20 pounds on each arm. 10 pounds on each arm was not enough. 15 would be perfect, but again, I don't have those 15-pound weights, so I couldn't do that. Surprisingly, though, my reps actually went up when I went back to the 20 pounds on each arm, so that was kind of cool. My tricep presses are always in a good range. They're actually going way up, but I like where they are, and I like the feeling I get in my arms after, so I'm going to leave that as is. Let's see. Incline bench presses are steadily going up. I'm usually able to pump out one or two more reps every time I do them, so that's good. Leg presses, I really need to add weight on these as soon as possible. That was something I noted to myself here. But to compensate for how easy the exercise is, I started delaying the motion, especially going down. And I find with the pull-ups as well, which I talk about in my next log, as you're going down, you just want to go down as slowly as possible, even like 3, 4 seconds to just have as much resistance as possible with the weight. Another thing I started doing, and I'm not sure if this is proper form or not, or if it's a good thing to do, but man, it really worked to get a more intense workout. If you don't have that extra weight to add for your leg presses, what you can do is every time I was going up, I would point my toes towards the inside, and then I'm going down, I'm pointing them out. So it's kind of like out, in, out. And I found it was working on my legs, the upper part of the legs a lot more that way. So that's just a little technique I started using. As far as the lower leg presses go, these are still great, but man, do I ever the ones that I have a hard time with, like the push-ups and the lower leg presses, I just dread doing them because I know how intense they're going to be. But the fact that they're intense and challenging is a good thing, and I need to remember that. But wow, it never ceases to amaze me how challenging those lower leg presses are. Like my whole body's going into it. I'm gripping onto the bars, and I'm just like I'm giving it everything I got. And after I do the first few reps, the reps drop down by like half. It's just that intense. Squats are still good. I'm still doing squats with 10 pounds, 5 pounds on each arm, held straight out, and then I go immediately into my squats without weights, which I love squats because they're overall just such a great exercise for a whole bunch of different things. For calf presses, I was finding my reps a little high, so what I started doing was every time I go up, I hold it there. I hold it there on my toes for maybe 2 or 3 seconds before letting it back down, and I found that that really helped me to get a more intense exercise for my calves. As far as the cardio went, on day 4, I did some heavy bag training because I had so much fun the last time that I did it. So I decided to do it again. I ended up actually going a little too heavy on the bag, a little too heavy on the heavy bag, and I hurt my wrist, which I talked about earlier. And that's mostly due to bad form. Believe it or not, how I hurt my wrist was actually doing 1-inch punches. So I had my fingertips on the bag like this, and I was just doing a quick jab forward, using all the strength of your body and in your hips to really, if anybody who's looked up Bruce Lee and the 1-inch punch and Jeet Kune Do, you know what I'm talking about. But you have to put your whole weight, the entire force of your body goes into the spot between your index and middle knuckle, And my form was really, really bad, and I ended up pushing, and when I pushed on my ring finger and pinky knuckles, which ended up causing some shooting pain down my wrist. I bruised the hell out of my hand. That's probably just from hitting the bag so much because I was going crazy on it. And so I actually decided to give myself an extra day of recovery to let the bruising go away and let my wrist really recover. And it worked because I don't have any pain anymore. After a couple days, actually, it went away, but I decided to play it safe and give it that extra day. Um, I tried eating a light meal again before the training that day, and it did improve my energy level and performance. I had a bowl of soup with a little bit of cheese and some 12-grain toast, which you can read all this in my log if you're really interested. But basically, it seemed to help as far as my energy went. On the next workout, I actually didn't give myself enough time to digest, so it actually slowed me down. So I'm actually looking at probably closer to an hour and a half, 2 hours. I want to eat, wait about an hour and a half, 2 hours to digest, and then do the workout. That seems to be the sweet spot. But as far as my reps went on that day, that fourth workout, my reps went up, and it was a pretty drastic change. I wasn't sure what to attribute that to, if it was my pre-workout meal, if it was the omega, the probiotic, the whole thing together. One big factor that I will um, point out, actually two factors, is that I was sipping on my smoothie that has the mix in it. And for my mix, you can check that out in my previous blog entries or videos. Um, but I was sipping on my smoothie throughout, rather than waiting till after. And I don't know if that was a good idea because I did get a little bit of bloating and cramping that day as well. So still on the fence on that one. I'll keep you posted. The one big factor I think that helped me is the room was hot that day, and I mean hot. I did not open the door. I didn't open the screen door at all. Um, I really tried to keep the heat inside. I turned off the vent for the AC, so it was muggy in there, but it helped because it loosened me up and I was able to be much more flexible. That day I really took my time with the workout, making sure to, do the whole 2 seconds down, 2 seconds up thing, really thorough. I think this whole workout lasted probably about 2 hours. I was really taking it slow and being as thorough as I possibly could. But towards the end of the workout, about three-quarters of the way in, I started getting really fatigued, a little bit of cramping in my lower right side, which is a recurring theme also going into my fifth workout. So I'm gonna have to look at that and see why that is. I think I'm drinking too much water. I know it's important to hydrate, but with a lot of sports, boxing and whatnot, you see them, they'll take small sips just to get the dryness out of the mouth, but they don't really swallow a lot of water. You do that after your workout typically or before. So I'm gonna have to look at that as well. Geez, I'm already running out of time, but to summarize my day, my fourth workout, my day 15. Um, I seem to have a little bit of a dry throat after. I think because I pushed so hard and for so long on that workout that it kind of compromised my immune system. So I ended up taking some of my patented immune boosting stacks, which if you're curious about what that is, what I use to boost my immune system, you can check that out in the day two blog and video to see what kind of blend that I use. But basically, it worked. I didn't get sick. Could have just been nothing, but I always play it safe and try and cut it off at the head before it starts. All in all, though, that day was an amazing workout. I'm really starting to see some results in my numbers, and that does make me really happy. And obviously, it's motivating and encouraging. So for the day five, I actually went over here. I'm doing pretty good, 12 minutes almost. Um, for my day five, my fifth workout, my day 21, I'm gonna have to do this a little bit later on today, so I'm gonna end the video for now. All right, welcome back. So to continue what I was discussing, going into my fifth workout, which was day number 21, and again here I'm gonna try and go as quickly as possible. Not really feeling super motivated today, feeling a little bit of the downs, so I'm gonna make this relatively quick. And there's a couple other things I wanted to touch on after I'm done going over this stuff. So, um, on day five, I had a bit of an eventful day, I guess you could say. My stretches started out pretty much the same, nothing to report there. My crunches actually went up quite a bit. I'm at 40, 28, and 26 for reps, so that's really good. Again, with the 10-pound weight behind my head, using proper form. I noted here that I did more reps than usual, but they were still really tough. And I think the reason for that is because I had taken some time off from working out, which really kind of hurt me. It doesn't show in my workout log that it hurt me at all, because my reps actually, for the most part, went up on most, if not all, of these exercises. So, except for the pull-ups, of course. But and actually the Arnold curls looks like they were a little bit on the low side, but nonetheless, because I had wailed on the heavy bag a little too hard, I ended up hurting my wrist, so I gave myself an extra couple days to recover from that. I had some pretty significant bruising on my hand as well from just wailing on the bag. I need to look into maybe putting on an extra set of gloves underneath my training gloves so that that doesn't happen. But all that to say that I gave myself an extra, I think it was 2 days. So rather than working out every 4 days, I actually had a space there of, looks like five, well, from day 15 to day 21, basically. So what is that, 5, 6 days? Anyway, I gave myself an extra little bit of time to recover, and it paid off because my wrist has no more pain. Actually, after about 2 or 3 days after, my wrist was fine, but I decided to play it safe as always and give myself an extra day or two to recover. That off time really did hurt me though, because I noticed that in my energy level I was a little bit more sluggish than usual. So something to take into consideration is if you do have some downtime to recover, if you give yourself a little extra time, be cognizant of the fact that it's going to not necessarily hurt you, but it's going to make your next workout that much more challenging, which I noticed, obviously firsthand when I went into my day five. I keep saying day five because it is confusing, but my What I mean by that is my fifth workout, which is actually on day 21 of my whole journey back to health. So that's the distinguishing. That's the distinguishments between when I'm saying day 21. It's the 21st day of my journey, as opposed to the fifth day of working out. So I'll try to be more clear on that. But my crunches went up, even though I was really, you know, really rusty, I guess you could say. I also noted that I seem to have overinflated my yoga ball. I'm slowing down on this, so let me speed up here. Push-ups. I actually got myself some of those push-up handles, and they do make it a lot easier on the wrists and on the back when you use those. So I would definitely recommend for whatever I paid for. I think it was like $20. You know, brand new right out of the box for $20. It's definitely worth it because doing push-ups on the knuckles, even though it keeps your arm straight, it is still pretty tough on. I found on the back, lower to mid back. It was hard on my back when I'm doing it that way, and not to mention that it's hard on the knuckles. Even if you're using a cushion or if you're on carpet, it's still tough. So do yourself a favor. If you're in my situation, get yourself some of those push-up handles. It's a good investment. It makes your push-ups that much. Wouldn't say easier, but that much better form when you're doing them. So less risk of injury. Pull-ups are always tough. Um, I found myself getting discouraged by the fact that my push-up reps are not going. My pull-up reps are not going up. But this is no surprise. I think the last time I was in a fitness routine, it took me a good month and a half to finally see some improvements on those. They're just so difficult when you're coming from, like me, from a sedentary lifestyle to doing these insanely difficult pull-ups. And I just don't have the strength in my shoulders that I once did. So I'm gonna have to be patient with myself, give myself the time needed to improve on that, and just be patient. What I did to compensate to try and speed up the results, and it's not necessary, but I felt like I needed to do something about this to help myself. So what I actually did was I added an extra rep at the end of my pull-ups. So rather than doing um, 3 sets of reps, I'm actually doing 4 now. So I'm doing, as many as I can, a brief pause of however long, 30 seconds max. And I'm doing as many as I can again, which was, 3 and 2, then a pause, then again, which was only 1 at that point, which is fine. But then I'm doing a fourth one as well. And all that is I'm pulling myself up and then I'm letting myself down as slowly as I possibly can to have as much resistance as I can on the way down. And I'm hoping that by adding that extra rep there, that the down resistance is going to help me develop strength a little bit faster than I would just doing the pull-ups. Um, the whole down resistance thing is actually what they suggest for you to do if you're not able to do a pull-up. You just grab a chair, like I mentioned before in my other videos and blog. Is you could just grab a chair, you pull yourself up, and then you use your own body weight on the way down to slowly let yourself down and build up strength that way. So I figured it wouldn't hurt to have that in. But again, if I'm noticing some soreness or anything in my shoulders, I'm stopping right away. Luckily, this time I didn't notice anything, so I was able to do it. Um, After I did the pull-ups on my fifth workout, I noticed that I was getting a bit of headache, and I think the reason for that is I was, well, partly dehydrated a little bit, and I was just straining a little too hard. Overall, this was sort of a theme in this workout, is that I pushed myself too far again. And I really need to practice what I preach about that. Um, even though I'm seeing some improvements in my workouts, I'm not giving myself enough time to really develop the strength and to improve naturally as I would over time. I'm kind of an impatient person just in general, so it's showing in my workout, and that's something that I personally need to work on a lot more moving forward. As far as the Arnold curls go, man, I'm really starting to like the Arnold curls. They're just such a great workout for the shoulders and for the arms and just the upper body in general. And just I'm I'm seeing why that so many people do these and why Arnold is, professes the benefits of these so much up and down is that they're so good. When I'm done doing these Arnold curls, I feel it in my arms so much. So much more than all the other exercises. So that's definitely something I'm happy with. It's still in a good range, 6, 5, and 4, so I'm not going to touch that. The weight seems pretty good. I think I'll just double check, but I think I actually went down on those a little bit. Oh, actually, no. No, actually, I went up slightly. So the first time around is all I'm able to do about 6 as usual. But the second time around, I was doing 5, then 4. So it's actually gone up a little bit on the second and third reps. So that's good. For my curls, the reps actually went up on those, so that's a pleasant surprise. Still, again, with 20 pounds on each arm, and I'm still counting each curl rather than each couple of curls. So my reps went up quite a bit, 24, 20, and 20. So I'm pretty happy with that. And again, it's funny that on a day where I see so much improvement in my reps is the day that I felt kind of discouraged about not improving, which is it comes down to just state of mind because I did did improve big time in a lot of these reps. I guess what it is I'm kind of in a down mood right now, guys, and I'm just not giving myself enough credit for the improvements that I have made. Once in a while, you gotta just pat yourself on the back and tell yourself that you're doing a good job. Just by sticking with your routine alone is such an accomplishment. But I'm at the point now where it's really becoming an integral part of my lifestyle, and I like that, and I need to keep that fresh in the mind to remember this and to encourage myself. So as far as the laterals go, I think that also went up. Yeah, with many things here, with mostly everything. Um, my laterals went up again, and this is again with 20 pounds on each arm, not the 10 like I was doing on the third workout. So that's good. And again, I'll just remind you my laterals, what I mean by that. It's probably not the correct term, but a lateral is just a curl going into a punch with the weight on your arm. So that's definitely gone up, so that's good. It's a little high on the reps, but I'm not ready to change that just yet. For my tricep presses, again, I believe this went up as well. Yeah, it went up by a couple there. 24, 17, 12. This is another, and I'll just remind you again, this is 20 pounds behind my head with both arms gripped with both hands and pushing up. This is another exercise that I really enjoy just because of the fact that, like the Arnold curls, I just feel it so much in my triceps. Like, there's no doubt in my mind when I'm done doing these that my arms and my triceps in particular got a really good workout. So I'm really happy with those. Even though the reps are high, again, I'm not going to touch this because I can definitely feel it. Once I get to a point where it's not so much of a challenge anymore, then I'll look at upping the weight, and then that's something I'm going to have to buy because I don't have any of those. My max dumbbell is 20 pounds, so I'm gonna have to get maybe some 25 pounders or 30, or maybe some of those interchangeable ones. So, or maybe one of those little mini bars. I can just use the weights I have. But again, my idea for now, for the first month at least, is not to interchange the weights as much as possible. Partly to save money and partly because it's just a pain in the ass. But eventually, I'm going to get to a point where I'm just going to have to. And speaking of the first month, so my idea basically is to stick to this routine, not push myself too hard, which I haven't been doing very well on that. But I'm going to keep going of what I'm doing, a workout every 4 days or so. And when I get to month 2, that's when I'm going to up the intensity a little bit. Start adding some weight. I'm going to start exercising, maybe doing workouts every 3 days, instead of every 4 days, or maybe even every 2 days. Another idea that I had, and I'm going to go over this real quick because I know this video is getting on again, but another idea I had was to do a pretty heavy intensity workout every 4 days, but then every 2 days between, I'm doing a light workout. So what I mean by that is, um, let's say day one, I do a really heavy workout like I have been doing. Okay. And then day 3, I'm doing a light workout. So I'm giving myself that 48 hours to recover, which should be more than enough time. And on day 3, I'm doing a light workout. So maybe I'll do half of this workout routine, or maybe I'll just do one set of reps. You know, um, Another thing that I don't really talk about is sometimes between my 4 day of recovery, I'll actually just pick up the weights, and I'm not recording this or logging this in any sense, but I'll just pick them up because I see them there and I want to just work out real quick. Nothing strenuous, nothing heavy. Just pick up the dumbbells or pick up the one in particular I like to do just randomly is the incline bench press. I just like doing some bench presses once in a while. I find it feels good in my arms, feels good in the body, gives me energy. And it's not something I'm going to record or really necessarily keep track of, but it's just continuing the momentum into that fitness and that wow, look at that. Look at this hair. Look at this hair right here. You guys seeing this? You seeing this? Can I grab this? Oh, it's not even attached to me. Look at that. I was sorry, it was distracting me. I see another one too. Got some fuzz on me. I thought it was attached to me, maybe a gray hair, but no, it flew away. Sorry guys, it distracted me. What was I saying? So yeah, sometimes I'll just pick up the weights just for the hell of it. It's not something I want to track necessarily, but hey, I got this stuff and it's fun. Let's not kid ourselves here. Working out is fun. And for me it is anyway. I don't see it as a chore. I'm trying not to see it that way anyway, because that's one of the important things about keeping yourself going in this sort of routine is just enjoying what you do and being mindful. I use that term a lot, but being mindful of what you're doing. And it's the difference of, and I'm sure you guys have seen this when you're at the gym. There's always this guy that's like, completely distracted from what he's doing, maybe even on his cell phone, talking to other people, not focusing on what he's doing. And then on the complete contrast, you have these guys that are just so focused and so you can tell that they're just intensely working out as hard as they can. They're paying attention to the muscles while they're working out that particular area. You know, um, really having that mindset that you're doing this for a reason. You're not just doing this for shits and giggles. You're doing this because it's benefiting you in some way, shape, or form. So just being mindful of that and staying in the moment, keeping your mind grounded, so to speak, and just really focusing on what you're doing. I find that just makes all the difference in the world. But all that to say that on my second month of this fitness routine, I really plan on increasing the intensity, whether that's the frequency of my workouts or whether it's adding weight, or like I said, maybe a heavy workout, waiting 48 hours to recover, then doing a light type workout, and then back to a heavy workout. It has yet to be determined. I'm gonna take that as it comes, play it by ear, but that's the plan anyway, is to wait and to give myself the time to just get more flexible, build more strength before increasing the intensity. Because right now, as much as I want to add weight, I want to work out more. I'm telling myself, no, just take it easy. Don't get hurt like the last time. Just take it easy. Let myself develop, naturally over time rather than trying to push it. So, but going back to my log here, the incline bench presses were good again. These are going up. I really need to give myself credit on this workout because my reps really went up, and it is encouraging when I stop and look at the numbers. So just need to be again. I guess I need to be more mindful on my statistics. So for the leg presses, I say this every time, but I really need to up the weight on these big time. 54, 36, and 30 for the upper leg presses. Damn, I really need to add weight to these. I've mentioned it before. I have relatively strong legs to begin with, so I really need to find myself some more weights and increase the weight on those. For the lower leg presses, always a challenge on those. I'm not sure what it is, but my whole body is always getting a workout. And but the reps are going up. Reps are going up. It's one of my least favorite exercises. For some reason, the push-ups and the lower leg presses are the ones that I dread the most. And again, I'm trying not to have that negative mindset going into them, but I mean, it's a reality. I'm not going to doubt it. I'm not going to deny the fact that I have some exercises that I prefer more than others. Everybody has favorites, right? But the lower leg presses are ones that I don't really necessarily enjoy so much. I think subconsciously because I know how intense they're going to be, and I have to bring the full energy from my body, my entire body, to get these done. And I think that's sort of what I'm dreading. But at the same time, I need to embrace that fact that it is such a great exercise, and that's why they're so intense. For my squats, again, I love these. I'm a huge believer in squats just because they're so versatile. We're going to go into all that again because I always mention the same thing, but squats with weights going well. Reps went up. I'm going to eventually have to look into adding some weight to those, but I'm not nearly ready. I think what I'm going to do is the tail end of my reps. So, for example, for the squats with weights, 22 reps, 13 reps, 10 reps. When that last one, when the 10 gets to 16, then I'm going to probably look at increasing the weight. But I'm going to wait until my weakest moment is at 16 before I increase the weight. So 22, 13, 10 is still a good range for me. I'm going to leave it as is. Even the squats without the weights, 25, 20, and 18, it's past the 16 on the last one on the tail end, like I was saying. But the fact that it's such an overall good exercise to do, I'm going to leave it as is. For my calf presses, the numbers are still going up. These are still not challenging enough, but to compensate, I have been, like I said last time, I'm holding the weight when I'm up on my toes. I'm holding it for a few seconds before letting it back down, and definitely I'm feeling it in my calves. Before I go into my cardio, I'll just mention that I'm still not getting any DOMs. There's still some soreness the next day, but nothing that I would consider, the delayed onset muscle soreness. It's it's not it's not anything close to what I was getting after day one, after or I should say day three, after the first workout that I had the next day, that feeling, the DOMs, nothing close to that. Yes, I always get some soreness the next day, which is normal, which is expected, but nothing close to what I would even consider DOMs. To me, DOMs is that feeling where you can't walk, where you're just so sore that every little thing you do, whether it's reaching up for something or even getting yourself out of bed. I remember that the fourth day four of my journey back after my first workout, everything was just sore. Everything from my head to my toe, my 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 eye muscles were sore. I mean, I had pushed myself for the first time in such a long time that it was such a shock. And that's what I mentioned last time. It's a shock to the system. And now it's not a shock anymore. My muscles have adapted. Even going into my second workout, my muscles had already adapted somewhat. So, I just want to be clear here that you should expect some soreness the next day, which is a sign of, a general sign of having done a good workout. But don't expect those heavy DOMs like you do, like you're going to get the first time. And I've talked to a couple buddies of mine who were big on, fitness and bodybuilding in the past, and they, confirm the same thing that you're not going to get those DOMs unless there's a drastic change in your routine, or you're going from, like me, like a sedentary lifestyle to back into a fitness lifestyle. Then you'll notice it. But don't expect to get any of these hardcore DOMs after each workout unless A, you've increased the intensity or the frequency by a significant amount, or B, like I said, that you're going from doing nothing to being in a fitness routine. Then obviously you're going to expect it, but otherwise don't expect too much soreness other than what can be expected usually, your typical soreness. For cardio, I did a fair bit of cardio that day. I cut the grass again, whipper snipped, took the dog for a pretty brisk walk and jog, and using the app that I mentioned last time, Google Fit, to track my cardio and progress now, which is a really cool app. If you haven't checked that out, take a look at it. So I know my video is getting on here again, and I said I wouldn't do it, but this is a really important part that I want to mention. I'm actually going to let you guys, if you want more information on this, I'm just going to skim over it real quick, but if you want more information on specifics here, you can check out my log. I started putting a note section on my log where I can just write down some things that I think of while I'm working out, or some concerns or suggestions for myself down the road. If you want to read that in its full detail, then check out either my blog, or you can check out my workout log, which has notes now at the bottom. But basically, I start off with my current weight, which was 187 on that day, which is just a couple days ago. My BMI, I haven't tested it, but I imagine it's still around the 25% mark. I ate about an hour before. I took a ginseng, an omega, and a probiotic with my meal. I don't think I waited long enough after eating, because I felt somewhat heavy, lightheaded, and a bit cramped, especially towards mid to the end. So I think waiting probably an hour and a half to 2 hours after eating before doing a workout is probably a good idea. I also mentioned here that I did give myself a little time to recover because of my wrists thing. I went a little too heavy on the heavy bag. Some stuff went down in reps, but most things went up. If not the majority of things went up in terms of reps. So very encouraging. And again, I need to give myself credit for this, which is not something I'm good at doing in general. On a more serious note here, this is something that I really wanted to take some time to talk about in this video. Is over the last 10 years or so, my dad actually has been having problems with his heart, and the problems he's been experiencing is what's called an arrhythmia. And for anybody who doesn't know what that means, it basically means that your heart rhythm goes out of sync once in a while. Everybody's experienced some heart palpitations at one point or another where, it feels like your heart's all of a sudden beating really fast, or maybe beating really slow, or it's out of sync, or maybe it feels like your heart has skipped a beat. Everybody knows that feeling. It's a fairly common thing. What was happening to my dad is that one day he was mowing the lawn and his heart went out of sync. Now, what the difference is between someone who's just having regular heart palpitations and someone with an arrhythmia is that you cannot bring yourself back to that normal rhythm anymore. Once you get out of sync, it stays that way, and it's fairly scary. He did mention to me that some people actually don't even notice when it's happening, which blows my mind how you can't notice your heart being out of sync. But for most people, they're aware of their heartbeat, and they're aware of when their heart is beating abnormally. Well, while my dad was mowing the lawn, his heart went into an arrhythmia, and he lost all energy, and he got weak and flushed, and pouring sweat. And my mom found him in this state and said, "What the hell's wrong with you? You look terrible." And he says, "I feel terrible." And he went to the hospital. They took him to the hospital, and that's when they discovered that he had this arrhythmia. And what they actually do for that is they defibrillate you. It's a tough word to say. They defibrillate you, with the paddles. I believe they call it a cardioversion or something like that. But basically, they're trying to zap your chest and your heart back into a regular rhythm. Well, they did that to my old man about 7 times over the course of these 10 years, and they realized that it just wasn't working. It would sometimes put him back into a regular rhythm, but then he would end up, something would happen, and it's not always overexerting yourself. You could just be sitting there at the desk, and then all of a sudden it feels like this impending anxiety attack comes over you, or whatever it is. It just happens completely randomly, and it throws his heart off into an off rhythm again. So what they ended up having to do for my old man is they had to actually go in, I don't know how exactly they do this, probably through the groin, and they go in through the arteries and whatnot, and they get to the heart, and they do what's called an ablation, which is basically They burn a certain part. They trigger an arrhythmia to see where it's where it's happening in the heart, and then when they find the location, then they burn that part to restore a regular rhythm. I'm not sure the technicalities of all this stuff, but basically, after he had the ablation, his heart went back to normal, and which is really, really good news, right? Um, all this to say that I've been noticing that since I got back into being more physically active, that I was getting a certain arrhythmia. So I talked to my old man and I asked him, you know, what do you think the odds are of this type of thing being genetic? And he suspected that it wasn't genetic for the fact that, his dad doesn't have any heart problems. His mom doesn't really have any heart problems. My sister did have some heart issues, which she's had taken care of. When I believe her issue was her heart rate was going up randomly, and it would beat really, really fast and strongly, and it was difficult for her to get back to a normal heart rhythm. I have another sister as well who has a heart murmur, but hasn't had any issues with her heart at all. So, as far as we can tell, it's not a genetic thing. But the reason I bring that up is that I did talk to him with the concern that it might be genetic and what he thinks that I should do. Because like I said, what's been happening is since I got more physically active, I've been noticing more and more heart palpitations. I've always been the type of person to get more heart palpitations more frequently than the average person. And again, sometimes it happens just randomly. It's not doctors have tried to tell me that it's stress related or that it's anxiety related or it's this or it's that, but it happens completely randomly that I have trouble accepting that as an answer. It happens at times where I'm not stressed out, where I'm not anxious. It happens sometimes where I'm just, sitting on the couch watching TV. I mean, there's nothing stressing me out at the time. There's nothing, particularly weighing down on my mind. I'm just sitting there watching TV, just relaxing, and my heart will just go completely out of whack. Um, but I did notice that since I've become more active, that it's happening more frequently. So that was my concern. And going back to my workout, on that day, which was again just a couple days ago, I noticed that it was happening mid-workout, which I've had happen a few times now. I haven't really been noting it or talked to anybody about it, but this time it was pretty bad. It was to the point where I couldn't continue my workout, and I was about halfway through my workout, roughly, just completely lost all energy. I was weak. I felt like I wanted to lay down. Continuing my workout at that point was just impossible because I just didn't have the strength. I could barely support myself enough to stand up, let alone continue my workout. So, suffice it to say that I got pretty concerned and a little scared. And I sat down on my yoga ball and I started looking at stuff up online of how to stop heart palpitations because at that point I was kind of desperate. I wasn't necessarily panicking, but I wanted it to stop because it's an uncomfortable feeling. It feels like your body is not getting enough blood supply. That's the easiest way I can explain it. It feels like the blood is pooling in my heart and it's not being pushed out. The regular pressure that one feels in their heart, the normal pressure, was just not there. You get this feeling like the best way I could describe it is it feels like my heart dropped to the upper portion of my abdomen and it was just sitting there on the top of my stomach beating and I could feel it in my stomach. It's a really weird sensation. It's almost like when you're on a roller coaster and the roller coaster just drops and you get that feeling where you're like, "Ugh," that gasping, like, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but I hope you understand what I mean. And it's really, really uncomfortable. You get, like I said, I got dizzy, nauseous, very, very weak. I started just pouring sweat, just pouring. I had up until that point in my workout, I was sweating, but it was maybe a little bit of beating, but that was about it. When this happened, I was dripping sweat, and I mean dripping, like a faucet had been turned on in my forehead. and it was a cold sweat, which had me even a little bit more concerned because of that fact. It almost feels like vertigo, when when you look up at a really tall building, or when you're up somewhere really high and you get that feeling where you're going to fall. Imagine that feeling just not going away, combined with your heart beating out of whack and just sitting at the top of your stomach. It's really uncomfortable. So anyway, I'm looking up how I can stop this heart palpitation. I thought maybe some deep breathing exercises. I know that when you're having a heart attack, that you can like force yourself to cough to kind of stop the heart attack. So I figured maybe that might work for heart palpitation issues. But just nothing was working. But funny enough, as I was looking up how to fix, and this is about 5-10 minutes into this cardiac event, um, I, I noticed that as I was calming down and my breathing started to return to normal, that all of a sudden, bam, it went away. And as soon as the arrhythmia, or whatever you want to call it, the heart palpitation, as soon as it went away, I immediately got my energy back. I immediately got this feeling where the pressure in my heart went back to normal, and it was pumping out the blood and wasn't pooling anymore. It was like night and day. It was amazing to me, the difference. So if you're the type of person that, gets heart palpitations to begin with, just be careful when you're going into a fitness routine like this, you know. And I've said this before, don't push yourself beyond your limits, because if you do, this is the type of thing that might happen. And this is a reminder to me that I might have probably been pushing it too hard, and I need to be more patient and more laid back with my approach here. Wow, okay, I've said a lot today. Try to see if there's anything else I want to cover. This is, I put it down here, this is serious shit, and it really is. It really, really is, because one little mistake like that um, can cost you your health, and potentially worse if you end up pushing yourself too hard and hurt yourself, or end up causing a heart attack or something like that. I mean, you're done. You're done. And I'm not talking about you're dead. I mean, like your whole progress, your whole fitness routine up until this point is done. Because if you have a heart attack, I mean, let's face it, you're not going to start working out the next day. It's going to take months of recovery probably to get back to even uh, close to where you were before. So it's always better to just take it easy. But I really need to take a look at why this is happening. I started writing a log. I'm going to see my doctor in about a month, and I'm going to bring this log with me. I'm keeping a log of my cardiac events, and when I'm getting an arrhythmia or heart palpitations, I'm writing it down, writing, how long it happened, what I was doing, um, the severity of it, and any notes, anything that comes to mind. I'll put that in there as well, so the doctor can analyze it and determine what the best strategy is for me going forward. So, um, yeah, so that's pretty much all I wanted to mention. The other thing I wanted to cover really, really quick is um, I may need to look at, yeah, that's another thing too I wanted to mention before I jump into this. Um, I wanted to also mention that this might be caused by the supplements that I'm using. And again, I don't use any of these every day other than those, other than the omegas, something I've been taking daily. But other than that, I'm not really taking any of these every day. But that doesn't mean that they're not affecting me in some way. So I might have to take a look at those and see which ones. Actually, you know what? Now that I think of it, I did take a ginseng that day, and even though it was only one ginseng before my workout, that could be it. That could be what's causing these heart palpitations. Even coffee, which is something I drink every day, coffee is known to cause heart palpitations. So, as reluctant as I would be to give it up, I might have to if it means drinking coffee or doing my fitness routine. You better believe I'm going to give up the coffee, and it's going to suck, but it's the alternative is just not worth it. So another thing I wanted to mention that is I am still in the recovery process of quitting smoking, and this probably all has an impact on this whole thing. Something else I also need to take into consideration. And another thing I wanted to mention really quick here is that, man, smoking, what a mess this has caused in my life. Um, I'm about a month in at this point of being smoke free, and as much as I want to congratulate myself on that, I'm realizing that I'm still not out of the woods, not even close. It's really, really strange. I still get these cravings on a daily basis where I want to smoke, and it's it's not a physical thing. It can't be. It's impossible. All the nicotine and all the crap that I've smoked, the vast majority of it has been expelled from my system at this point. So it's not a physical addiction at this point. At least I don't think it is. But it feels like it. And it goes to show how powerful the mind is to convince you that you might need something that is just so poisonous and so terrible for you. But my cravings are not going away. And as much as that might be discouraging, I'm gonna hold strong because I don't want to start over from scratch. Obviously, that would be stupid, and there's just no reason to continue smoking at this point or to pick it back up again. There's really no benefit to it, so it's all negatives and no positives. So I'm not gonna resume my smoking, but I find it so strange and so discouraging sometimes that these cravings just continue to occur, and they're not really getting any better as far as the intensity goes of these cravings. Yeah, they've gone down a little bit in intensity from day to day. One day I'll tell you, wow, I had a couple of beers, and wow, was it ever difficult to resist? I had the frequency of my cravings just went up tenfold, and the intensity at the same time tenfold for that day that I did. And that goes to show just what two beers can do to you. You know, anyway, I don't want to get too much into this because it's just kind of depressing, to be honest with you. But I'm doing all right. I'm doing well. I'm just really looking forward to getting into a place where I'm not thinking about it all the time, and I'm not getting these cravings anymore. I mean, I've accepted the fact that cravings are going to be there for the rest of my life. When I see somebody smoking, or for anybody out there who's quit smoking, you know this feeling of smelling the cigarettes. Sometimes my neighbor down the road will have a cigarette and I can smell it. And so we're talking about half a block down the road here and I can smell it. I shit you not. I can smell it from like half a mile away. You just have this sensitivity to it, and it's a reminder that you're still an addict, you're not out of the woods yet. You're still a tobacco addict, my friend. So just to be on guard, it's a reminder to be on guard and to be vigilant of how you feel and you know, to not let yourself slip. I haven't had a relapse at this point and I don't plan to, so it's another thing to take into consideration. Okay, this has been more than I wanted to cover, but at least it's not an hour long. Hopefully I'll be able to cut this down in the editing process a little bit more as well. But I think it was worth it, even if it's a little bit longer than I wanted to do. It was worth it because I got out everything I wanted to say today and continue on. Like I said, I'm feeling a little down today. I'm not sure why. Partly probably because of the smoking, partly because of just every time I get physically ill or injured or anything in that sense, it really depresses me. I have an issue with chronic depression, so it's definitely something I need to pay attention to and help myself with, which is also a reason why I've taken up a lot of these new supplements. But you know, the biggest thing for that is to just stay active, keep moving, keep a positive mind frame, and just don't let it get you down. Whatever is bothering you, whatever is causing the depression, just don't let it get you down, and just stay strong, keep going. Remember why you're doing what you're doing. And on that note, my friends, I will let you go, and I will thank you, as always, very, very much from the deepest pits of my defective heart. I want to thank you very, very much and tell you how much I appreciate you watching and joining me on my journey back to health. Until next time, bye bye.